the church has called us to be holiness, that universal call to holiness. And there's lots of books talking about saints and how we can achieve that. But there are two new books published by Pauline Books and Media, Saints Alive, the Gospel Witnessed, and Saints Alive, Faith Proclaimed. And Sister Marie Paul Curley is one of the co-authors, and you guys know Sister Marie Paul very well because she's on this show every month giving us her windows to the soul of the movies. But she took a little break from watching movies and she did a lot of research on the books. So Sister, it's great to have you. Why do we need more books about saints?
Oh, because we always can learn new things from the saints. They lived, there's such a huge diversity and variety of the saints out there when you start really delving into their lives. And so these books, the team of us that came up with the idea and then decided to write them, Sister Mary Leah and I, we wanted to make the saints accessible. We wanted to help people to see that they're real people, that they lived their call to holiness just like we're called to live our call to holiness. And so we put them into stories. They're novelized, they're dramatized. They're like reading short stories rather than
so you
a
made
factual
up some
account. Well, we tried to do as much research as possible, but we did add, lines of dialogue, things that St. Francis' mother could have worried about when he was going off to live his...
Being a crazy...
Yeah, he seemed like a holy fool.
Yeah.
So we put little details in.
Okay, speaking of making it up, because the one that, and I think I already asked you this when I first read the book, St. Mark.
Oh, yes.
Where does that story come from? Because clearly there's no story of St. Mark as a boy.
Right.
Or is this one that you didn't write?
That's actually Sister Mary Leah wrote that one. But I'm guessing...
St. Mark the Evangelist as a little boy.
I'm guessing that it came from some of the writings,
apocryphal?
some of the apocryphal writings, or just writings from that time that weren't considered the inspired word of God.
So clear. It's not necessarily. And I don't want to imply that it's all made up, at all. These are the real stories of the real saints. But so why is it important to dramatize them?
Basically, to help people who don't know anything about the saints to kind of understand or to get into their lives, to kind of encounter them really for the first time, perhaps. Right. Now, if you already know the saints, it's kind of fun to see. What moment of their life? Because they're short stories. What moment of their life did they choose to dramatize? Like we tried to pick key moments where they really made a choice for God, or they made a choice to follow their vocation. And so those are powerful, but then also we kind of threw in a lot of factual information at the end. So there's the notes about their lives, and then there's also the lesser known facts. I will say this, they are very well researched. I spent a lot more time researching than writing.
No, that's great. So at the end, each saint there's a prayer, there's the facts, notes on the person's life, facts, and then a quote.
Yes,
right?
Always a quote from their writings or something they said whenever we could find it.
So it's also useful for catechists, homilists.
Yes, we've actually matched up saints to different sacraments and the Beatitudes and different passages from Scripture.
Passages. I wanted to ask you about that. So why was that the original idea? Oh, would it be neat if we could find a saint for each sacrament?
Well, yes. The Church has been talking for a little while now about presenting the saints in conjunction with the truths of our faith, like to kind of show how do you live this particular virtue.
Right.
And it's in a lot of the Church's recent catechetical guidelines. And so we decided, well, let's actually take that and really make it practical. Let's make the saints really practical.
So there are two books, Saints Alive, the Faith Proclaimed. This is the one that you have a saint for each beatitude.
Beatitude and
for each sacrament.
Yeah, so we have
two saints for each.
Yes.
But it's organized in the same way. There's notes on their lives, fun facts, or lesser known facts.
The lesser known facts are the fun facts,
quotes.
Because, yes, of course, they're the ones that even if you know the saint, you may not know this about them.
Yeah, no, it's neat.
So it was fun.
And then Saints Alive, the Gospel Witnessed is the one where you've matched each saint with a particular scripture passage. How did you pick the scripture passages? Did you pick the saint first and then the scripture passage? The chicken and the egg?
I have a feeling it came out of both. I made some suggestions. Sister Mary Leah organized that book, and I organized the Faith Proclaimed.
Okay.
So matching the saint, I will say matching every saint with the beatitude. Like sometimes I had 5 or 6 saints vying for like one beatitude. Blessed are the poor in spirit.
Right.
So it really became a choice
battle.
of. Yes, it was like.
Which saint is stronger?
Well, which saint can provide another perspective on how we can grow in holiness?
Yeah.
Which saint is from a different part of the world? You know, we wanted to get saints from all walks of life. We wanted to get a lot of lay people in there.
Yeah,
a lot of lay saints.
you did that. I mean, there's saints for every culture, every continent, every language group.
We tried. We really tried.
Men, women,
because we're all called to holiness.
children
as
young
well.
people.
Yes.
Religious people, ordained people,
Married
couples.
Yeah.
One saint that really inspired you.
Oh, Blessed Peter Torot, who is a saint from Papua New Guinea,
Okay.
who is considered a martyr for marriage. Basically, his village was converted to, most of his village was converted to Christianity around the time that he was born. Christianity had been around for 20, 30, 40 years.
Right.
And so he became a catechist in the village with a very large role. He didn't just teach religion in 1 hour a week.
Right.
He really was a
So
pastoral
did you
leader.
say Papua New Guinea?
And he was in Papua New
Papua
Guinea.
New Guinea.
And he never moved away. He never traveled. He wasn't that well educated. He was considered well educated for his village because he listened, he studied with the priests. But he was just an ordinary guy. Matter of fact, his sister, after his death, called him, he was extraordinarily ordinary. And I love that because he loved to eat. He was very proud of his kids. He fought with his wife when they were first married. He's just an ordinary guy. And yet, during World War II, the Japanese actually conquered that part of Papua New Guinea. And to create chaos, to kind of divide up people, they, in the villages, so that they wouldn't have to worry about, the people uprising, they wanted to use it as a base for military support. They started saying that polygamy was okay, was legal. And so he was trying to protect the young people of his village and really standing up for the values of the sacrament of matrimony. And he was arrested and then actually executed without trial. He was in prison for some time and then executed.
Interesting. So he was standing up for marriage.
So
Beautiful.
a saint for marriage. How beautiful is that? And
so he's the sacrament of marriage.
yes, he
in
is.
the faith proclaimed.
He is.
Interesting. Now, so, we're always told that, a saint is not just someone who's in heaven, although they are, but it's someone who's been set apart as a model.
Yes.
God says, or the church says, this person's not just in heaven. There's probably a lot of people in heaven, but they haven't been canonized.
Right.
So how are these people models of faith for us? Do we have to proclaim our faith and proclaim the gospel and witness the gospel? Is that enough to call ourselves saints?
I think we're all saints in the making. I think the important thing is to see it as a journey, that we're all growing in living our life in God, growing in faith, hope, and love, which is basically the essence of even a canonized saint. They look at faith, hope, and love in the person's life.
Right.
And so we're all called to do that. But yes, I think a key part is living our faith and then proclaiming it through our example, but also through our words and actions and our choices. So yeah, I think the saints, they're models, but they're also friends. And I pray, there's a couple of saints I really pray a lot to.
Who do you pray a lot to?
Oh, I pray a lot to St. Paul as my patron, a daughter of St. Paul, Sister Mary Paul.
All right.
Because of his huge heart and his passion for living Christ. But I also, there's other saints that I loved researching all of them, there's so many. I can't even pick favorites anymore. I have so many favorites.
I have some good ones. St. Ignatius, St.
Yes.
Francis Xavier, St. Catherine of Siena.
Oh yes, all of those are great.
Blessed Cat. Oh, she's
Saint Catherine.
Saint Catherine. Anyway, we have to leave it there. Thank you so much. Thank you for writing the books. They're co-written with Sister Mary Leah Hill.
Yes.
She's also a daughter of St. Paul.
Yes.
Published by Pauline Books
and Media.
Pauline Books and Media. And so if people want to find out more, they should just go to pauline.org.
That's correct.
And Sister Marie Paul Curley is in Boston, and I guess they can find out more about your congregation at that website.
Yes, absolutely.
So we're just going to leave it there then.